From dragging one of the biggest stars in MMA away from his retirement wish, to taking photos that some fighters would come to regret, here's every UFC star that has ties to the Chechen Dictator, Ramzan Kadyrov. We'll look at the very public rant about Dana White's morals after a Dagestan fighter didn't get the nod from the judges, the uneasy relationship with one of the biggest stars in the sport, how money and power bought him the company of an American Olympic gold medalist. Even one of the greatest welterweights of all time couldn't say no. But first, Khamzat Chimaev has had a stronger relationship with the Chechen warlord than anyone else will cover in this video. Chimaev was even talked out of retirement by Ramzan during a period where he was struggling with a series of illnesses.
Said that you wanted to retire. Like, is there like a lot of ups and downs mentally with being a fighter?
Time was hard, man. It's not the same. When the doctor said to me, coming there, you have a cancer, man. That's why I'm said that I'm retired. I didn't know what to say to my family. I didn't know what to say to the people. Then we check again. The other doctor said, no, you don't have a cancer.
Any win that Borz gets is a win for Kadyrov and his regime. Khamzat is understandably in a tough position, but even still, a world-class fighter should not be forced to pretend to lose against Kadyrov and his sons out of fear. And yet, every time a video of Ramzan or his offspring sparring with Khamzat surfaces, he is very clearly letting them win. He even pretended to get dropped by one of Kadyrov's sons, which, considering this Khamzat Chimaev, will tell you everything you need to know about how important appeasing this man is to the middleweight king. This is not a lone incident either. Watch this fight between Kadyrov's son, Adam, and an opponent who is slowly starting to tag him.
Посмотрите, опережает. И снова он в атаке.
Adam's rival is landing more and more with increasing success, until the ref decides to jump in and give him a standing 8 count.
Прям да, решили не боксировать, решили драться.
Then, when his corner realized that they were in very dangerous waters, they decided to throw in the towel. That's what fear looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Khamzat has received so many gifts and payments from Kadyrov over the years that he is basically stuck in his debt. And a man as powerful as Kadyrov is not the type of guy you simply walk away from. And so, there is no doubt that Chimaev is utterly under the Chechen dictator's thumb. And it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. The recently dethroned former light heavyweight champion is another fighter who is known to have at least some relationship with Kadyrov, although the details are not fully clear. But one major clue came when Kadyrov well and truly lost it at UFC President Dana White for the judging of the light heavyweight title showdown between Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz. A pretty dismal fight that ended in a draw. According to Ramzan, he had his doubts over just how fair the scoring was, and whether Dana had allowed personal biases and prejudices to get in the way of things. Even though he has nothing to do with fight scoring, Khabib has had a relationship with Kadyrov that is pretty hard to decipher. His team put their differences with Khamzat Chimaev aside in a very public way, which surely helped things. But as far as we can tell, he has placed at least some distance between himself and Kadyrov, at least some of the time, because there's no doubt that the two are linked. And like Chimaev, Khabib's hands are tied to some extent. You don't just become a star in any Russian region and publicly refuse the Chechen dictator. And so, Khabib, while not on a buddy level like Khamzat, is still considered to be one of the fighters under Ramzan's influence. And of course, he didn't turn down a brand new car from Kadyrov. When addressing rumors of a rift between the two, Kadyrov himself put it down to nothing but media nonsense. But he would say that, wouldn't he? Henry Cejudo was one of several American fighters who were more than happy to go to visit Kadyrov, train with his family, and do some good old-fashioned gun shooting. The former longtime welterweight champion, Kamaru Usman, was another, alongside Cejudo, who probably had the link made by their shared agent Ali Abdelaziz. Justin Gaethje rounded out that trio. But he seemingly wasn't just there to take home a paycheck, as he went on to defend his actions pretty vigorously. Gaethje, instead of talking about the problems with supporting a brutal warlord, chose to go on the offensive when media member Luke Thomas called him out for his ties to Kadyrov. And it's pretty safe to say that he came out of the exchange looking pretty ignorant. He even attended Kadyrov's son's birthday. The whole thing doesn't seem to bother Justin that much at all. Who can forget the infamous UFC 229 brawl that saw Khabib Nurmagomedov finally lose his cool? Well, if you remember that brawl, you'll remember Conor McGregor getting sucker punched in the octagon. Well, that was Zubaira Tukhugov, and he made Ramzan Kadyrov a fairly prominent part of his rivalry with Artem Lobov, which nearly resulted in a fight in the cage.
Oh! And now one of Nurmagomedov's teammates throws a right hand at Conor. All hell has broken loose!
This is crazy.
But up to this point, it has yet to fully materialize. There's not quite as much documented evidence of Islam Makhachev's relationship with Kadyrov as you might think. But he made no secret of the fact that he immediately shipped off his UFC championship belt to Chechnya for Ramzan to add to this collection. Call it a sign of respect or a move born out of caution, but there's no denying that Makhachev is very much a part of Kadyrov's web of influence. Cody Garbrandt is yet another former UFC champion who has openly trained with a member of the Kadyrov family, his son, Ali. Of course, it's not like he has the same pressure on his shoulders as Khamzat does, but we're sure he was serving as more of a punching bag for the young Kadyrov than anything else. The former UFC and Strikeforce heavyweight champion, Fabrizio Werdum, has been under Kadyrov's influence for years now, regularly attending events that the Chechen Dictator promotes. And Werdum genuinely doesn't seem to have any issues with his relationship with Ramzan either. He even shouted him out during a post-fight interview in the ring, unprompted. And of course, this was repaid in a huge way.
O jogo tava saindo, eu peguei o microfone e falei, Armatsila dos nossos. Quando eu falei Armatsila, desci do octágono, o presidente me ligou no FaceTime. Verdun, gostei muito, Armatsila, papá, não sei o que. Faz assim, ó. Quando tu estiver na tua casa, tu vai aonde tu quiser, pega o carro que tu quiser. Eu quero te dar um carro de presente. Eu falei, não, faz assim, presidente. Não, pode ir. É comigo a bronca. Pode pegar o carro que tu quiser. Daí começou na boa, né? Tu sabe como eu sou na boa, né, meu? Vocês viram que eu sou na boa, fui na Mercedes. Aí fui na Mercedes.
No outro dia?
Não, já, claro, já tava em casa já.
Pra garantir, vai quem muda de ideia.
fui na Mercedes ali rapidinho, né, Dos na Mercedes rapidinho ali.
A present for Fabricio, bought from the endless streams of wealth that the head of the Chechen Republic has at his disposal.